creating a artwork today inspired by the work of Piet Mondrian. And remember, when we create our own piece of art, we might get inspiration from the artist, but it might not look exactly the same as one of their works of art. So in this case, we're gonna really be focusing on Mondrian's use of lines. We're only gonna be using two types of lines, vertical lines and horizontal lines. And when we create our composition today, or our arrangement in our artwork, we're gonna be kind of thinking about something creative to represent in our work. So in Broadway Boogie Woogie, Mondrian got inspiration from a city. So maybe you wanna create a city like him if you want to. Maybe you wanna create a some kind of like video game like Pac-Man. Maybe you wanna create a like the inside of a computer. Maybe it's gonna represent a maze or a blueprint of a house, and you have like a dream house blueprint layout. It's totally up to you. So I'm gonna be using some black strips of paper, some scissors, and some glue. And we're gonna be using glue today out of this little cup with a brush. We're gonna be trying this out and applying it to our papers. So let me share with you how we're gonna get started. I'm gonna pull out one piece of paper and I'm gonna do a little bit of measuring. So if I want my paper to go across here, I'm gonna go ahead and trim it so that it's a little bit smaller. And I'm going to dip my brush into the cup. And since it's kind of stringy, globby glue, I'm gonna wipe it on the edge of the cup so it's not getting everywhere. And all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do some little dabs of glue down my strip of paper. And when I'm done, all I have to do is just set my, my brush across the cup like that. I'm gonna flip it and stick it. Let's see, I think I'm gonna make a vertical line right here, and I'm gonna trim it here. We always wanna put glue on the back of the paper we're gluing. Now, you're probably gonna get a little bit of glue on your fingers today, and that's okay. When you get glue on your fingers, you can do a special little trick to get it off. So if you get glue on your fingers, you're just gonna rub them together and it will kind of roll off. And of course, at the end of class, we will wash our hands. So I'm gonna keep adding to my paper to create my Mondrian inspired composition. Now I'm gonna start to add colors, and I'm gonna be using the colors that Mondrian used in his work, which are the primary colors of yellow, blue, and red. So I'm gonna be using my tempera cakes today, and I'm going to wake up my color with some water on my brush. And the more that you wake up the paint, the more bright it will be. So I'm gonna really wake this paint up, and I'm gonna start painting with a little bit of red. So I'm gonna paint on the inside. If you accidentally, or if you do get paint on the black part, that's okay because it doesn't really show. Ooh, I like that. I'm gonna keep going with the red because I have it already on my brush. If you notice that your brush starts to get a little scratchy, that means your brush needs a drink of water and maybe some more paint. So make sure your brush does not get scratchy. Okay, I'm ready to rinse out my brush and try a new color. I think I'm gonna do some yellow. Okay, make sure you really rinse it out well, because otherwise, if you don't rinse it and you get red on the yellow, we're gonna end up with a color that we don't want. Try to do a little bit of, ooh, I'm gonna do some yellow here. I like to start by doing my outlines of my shape first. So you can see I'm kind of tracing it with my brush. And then I can fill it in kind of quickly. Okay, you can see now my brush is starting to get a little scratchy and dry. So what I need to do is get a little more water and a little more paint. That's better. Mondrian also used a lot of white in his work, so you can leave some of your shapes open and keep those white as well. Now I'm gonna be doing some additional work with my Mondrian painting, and I'm gonna be adding some oil pastel on top, and I'm gonna be adding some cut paper. So I can use my oil pastels to create more lines. I think I'm actually gonna turn this into like a little city. So I'm gonna create a little dashed line to look like a street right here. And maybe I create some spots where there's like a little crosswalk. So I can do that. Oopsie, smudged my work. I can also use some paper, and I'm gonna cut some shapes. I'm gonna be using the same shapes that Mondrian used, so rectangles and squares. I'm gonna place that on top. That's gonna be like a helicopter landing pad, I think. And maybe I create on top of here, this is gonna be a building. I think I'm gonna create like a little swimming pool. So I'm gonna make a blue rectangle for a swimming pool on the top of this building. And maybe I have I think I'm gonna have a little table over here. Maybe there's a little lawn chair by the pool. So when you're cutting this paper, if you want a smaller shape, all you have to do is cut off a strip, and then this could be a rectangle. I kind of like that. I like that long rectangle look. Or you could cut a strip and then cut it again to create some little squares. Maybe I have a square up there. And once you have your pieces laid out, then you're going to get out that glue again like we did on our first day. Put a couple of dabs on the back and stick it on top.